Alright, so we're going to start our lesson on one-point perspective. You may have talked about this in previous classes, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, we're going to go over the basics and then we can start on our project in class. So, what I want you to do is get out your sketchbook. Even if you've done this before, I want you to follow along and have a drawing in your sketchbook that I can check off in class just to make sure that you have the basics down. Other than your sketchbook, you'll need a ruler or some kind of straight edge, could be a piece of paper, whatever, a pencil, and an eraser. So to start out with one-point perspective, the first thing we need to do is establish where we want our horizon line to be. This is usually at the level of your eyes. You can create it lower on the page or higher on the page to generate different kinds of effects. But for now, I'm just going to place my horizon line about in the middle, maybe a little bit lower. You can think of this as basically the height of your eyes and how you'll see objects in space. The next important thing is to decide where we want our vanishing point to be. For me, just for demonstration, I'm going to put mine right in the middle, but you could put it off to the side, either or. So that's going to be my vanishing point. Now, we're going to start out very simply just by drawing geometrical shapes, squares, triangles. And I'm going to start by drawing a small square over here on the bottom right side of my page. Doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a rectangle, whatever you choose. This is just an easy way to start out by getting concepts. So once we have our square, the important thing to remember with one-point perspective is that all of the shapes that you're looking at head-on. So rather than looking at this eraser, let's say from an angle, and you see this corner, you're going to look at face-on, and one face is going to be parallel to your viewing field. So all I can see right now is the front of that rectangle. In order to create depth, we draw a point from the vanishing point to all four corners of my square. Usually I like to draw these lines lightly because now we're going to go back and erase where we don't want them. So if this is a solid cube, we wouldn't be able to see this line running through here, right? So that back line can be erased. You don't have to draw it, I just want to get the idea in your head of how this is created. Okay, next we're going to decide how deep we want our cube to go. For me, I think it would look good if it's about right there. So I'm going to draw a vertical line where I want that cube to stop, and then I'm going to draw a horizontal line connected to that straight across the top, parallel with the other sides. Then I can come back in, erase my vanishing lines from there back to the vanishing point, and we have the basics of a cube. So now I can go in and I can make these lines darker, especially the vanishing lines that I originally drew lightly. And we have our first three-dimensional shape. So one thing you start to notice as you draw different shapes within this space is you can kind of break this up into quadrants, right? There's a vertical line through my vanishing point, and the horizon line is the horizontal line. Anything you draw down in this lower right corner, if it's a solid shape, you'll only be able to see the left side and the top. If you draw a shape on the lower left quadrant, all you'll be able to see is the top and the right side. So you can see anything that's on this side of the vanishing point, you should only be able to see the right side if it's a solid shape. Anything you draw on this side, you're only going to see the left. Anything on here, you're only going to see the bottom. So let's try drawing a different shape up top. Let's just try a triangle and see what that looks like. We'll just do a tall, steep triangle. Okay, so here's my geometric shape. I'm going to draw a point to the vanishing, or a line to the vanishing point from all the corners. And again, I'm going to do it lightly so I can erase later. And I think this one's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to say all the way back to here. So I'm going to make sure that my line is parallel to the front of the shape. I'm going to draw it right there. And then I'm going to connect that line. Go parallel. Now I can come in, erase my vanishing lines, or my perspective lines. And then darken in the perspective lines I originally drew, just to make them a little bit darker and stand out more. There we go. Now we have a three-dimensional triangle that's fading off into the vanishing point. So what I want you to do now is pick a couple different shapes. You can make up your own. You can start drawing. You could draw buildings. You can add detail if you want. You can make windows, so on and so forth. But I want you to basically get an idea of how these concepts work with simple geometric shapes so that we can elaborate that on our in-class project and start to create some more challenging drawings. See you guys in class.